Hi, I'm Kim. I'd like to talk a little bit about the words we use and thinking about the words that we used maybe 40 years ago in your families of origin, and what's used now. And perhaps if someone was a bit hesitant to do something and avoided doing something back in the day, that would be called being nervous, or a worrywart or something like that. Now we simply say, oh, that person's anxious or they've got anxiety. And anxiety doesn't really describe what it is that's going on within the person and the patterns that they've fallen into. But when a client uses a word like nervous or anxiety, if I pick up that they have a flattened energy, their vibrations are a bit more flat whilst they're saying that and describing it, I might talk about how the research really does say that when we hear or use a negative word, the stress hormones are released and increased. So 2012, words can change your brain. They were saying really basically 3 positive words will need to be put in place after that. So that's the kind of thing I do with clients when I hear a word that has a dimming of the light of their soul, a drop in their frequency, if you like, however you describe it. Then I might say, let's open our phones and look up an antonym, the opposite of that word, and see if we can find something that is something in your life. So instead of nervous, a client used that earlier in the week, we looked up the antonyms and we came up with a list: calm, relaxed, confident, at ease, self-assured, secure, sure of oneself, tranquil and peaceful. And so the client then finds one that resonates with them and describes a story from the day or from the week where they are in that zone. So at ease or relaxed, it might be while they're having their morning coffee, or they've seen a new rose budding in the garden and they go out and be with that plant in nature. So this relates to Deb Dana's glimmers, of course, which can anchor us. And it does actually change our whole soul, our whole being, our frequency, where we're at. So it's not that we're avoiding a description. We're actually choosing to see ourselves described in other ways. School counsellors know in particular that there's really toxic culture at the moment where children are described as their behaviours. Oh, this one's a disruptor of the class, this one's cheeky, and so on. And of course, we've got the diagnostic labels as well. So what we do in narrative therapy is we look for a unique outcome, an alternative story, and we help the person kind of balance that, okay, there might be some nervousness to certain aspects of the day, of your life. But there's this other side to our lives that we often neglect, that get left in the sidelines. And part of working with people is to bring about self-awareness of their soul, so that they have a different sense of identity of who they are. I hope you found this helpful.